Hello everyone, we say welcome to another episode. It's the 8th episode of the giant markets. It's been a long journey and we're still continuously coming to you and giving you the information that you need to know about the market. So the giant market is here for you. It's here to always keep you in touch and in contact with the world of the economics. So we thank you all for being here. My name is Daluboshe and I'm here for you. So in this segment today, as we always do it, I'm going to talk about the tweezer top candlesticks. For as you know that in the markets, the market compromises of the fundamental and the technical side of everything. So I always emphasize about this thing. This is an emphasis. I will always emphasize about this thing each and every day until it gets into the mind of everyone who wants to understand the market. So what you have to know is that the fundamentals of the markets, it deals with the news. So these are the fundies. Any news that is trending, any news that comes from the government, any news that comes from the banks, from the companies, it's important because it brings volatility and it brings movement in the markets. Then the other thing that is very important in the market is the technical side, where the technical are dealing with the graph its own. Like let's say in the MetaTrader 5, we're actually dealing with the candlesticks, how the candlesticks are formed, what makes the candlestick be formed, and what leads to the movement of the graph that you see in those platforms. So what I have to do now, I have to start with the technical side, where we're talking about the tweezer top candlesticks, because this thing is the one that makes you to have a clear understanding of what drives the charts without having any news, but only you seeing and looking into the chart. So right, the tweezer top, there's the tweezers, it's two candlesticks that bring something that is called a tweezers, but it's either it's happening on the top or at the bottom. So that's why we call it the tweezer top or the tweezer bottom. So also known as the tweezers are reversal candlesticks patterns that signals a potential change in the price direction. So the price always come up with a certain direction. And these directions that happen, they don't just happen. There is a certain cause, and one of the cause that makes the direction to take effect is based on the candlesticks. So these candlesticks cause the tweezers. It gives you that potential change. So both formations consist of two candlesticks that occur at the end of a trend, whether it's a tweezer top or it's a tweezer bottom. What you have to know is that this formation, it consists of two candlesticks. So they are technical patterns that uses two candlesticks, and the tweezer top candlestick is one of the same structure as the tweezer bottom, except for the fact that it happens at the end of an uptrend. So it is bearish reversal pattern. So the fact that this thing is happening on the top or in the bottom, which means there is this bearish thing that happens, that movement that is about to happen is either it can be the bearish or it can be the bullish. So the tweezer top is one of those candlesticks where the first candle is bullish. So what you have to know about the tweezer top is that, so now I'm actually giving you a proper definition of the tweezer top, so that when you see something like this, you'll be knowing. As you can see in the screen, this is the definition. This is what comprises of a tweezer top, right? The first candle is bullish. The second candle is bearish, which indicates that the trend may be changing soon. So it's one of those solid candlesticks that happens. They both, the top and the bottom tweezers, are only valid when they occur during an uptrend and downtrend. So what you have to know about these two candlesticks is that it's one of those solid candlestick, whether it's a red candlestick or whatever bearish that you may be using, or it's a green candlestick, whatever color that you may be using, whether it's white or whatsoever, but it's one of those solid candlesticks. So each formation of the candlestick requires careful observation and search in order to be correctly understood. So as I'm actually explaining to you these candlesticks, I'm actually giving you that platform of view so that you can easily understand what is actually happening in the market. So when the bulls push the price higher during an uptrend, the bearish tweezer top is often seen. This is generally considered a strong bullish signal. So when the bulls push the price up higher, which means there will be that momentum that will be happening, that momentum of candlesticks that will be pushing the price higher, then which will cause an uptrend. So one of the things that is going to happen is that will show us that there are now high chances of the trend to reverse is when you see a solid green candle, let's say a bullish candle, a solid bullish candle. Then the next candle that happens, you see a solid and the same, maybe it's the same size and the same length candlestick that will be coming down, which will make you to see that, okay, now this one, it's a sign that the bulls are no longer in charge of the market. The bears have already entered into the market. So let's say on the second day, depending with the time zone, whether it's the daily, it's the weekly, or it's the month. So we can say maybe it's the second day, it's the second week, or the second month. Traders reverse their market sentiment. So the market opens but does not surpass the previous day's high, and then head straight down, often eliminating most prior period gains. So which means, that's what I was saying, when you see a candle, a bigger candle that is bullish, that is going up, then you see another a bearish, and they happen to be at the same size and to be the same type, it's a sign that the gains that had happened, or whether it was the previous day or the previous week or the previous month, they are being swallowed by this by this candlestick that is developed or next to that candlestick. So the tweezer may be used to confirm or reinforce other indicators for reversal. So a failed tweezer can indicate a continuous movement is in progress and may help in stop loss replacement. So it's very important for anyone to be able to have a clear understanding of these tweezer tops, because they give you a proper guidance of where you are actually going as a trader, or as someone who wants to understand the stocks. It's very important, because you will be it will be easy for you when you enter the charts to say, oh, okay, this one is a tweezer. Oh, okay, this one is bullish, or this one is bearish. So when talking of a trend, we're talking of something like this. So that is our point of having this platform, so that when you enter into the markets, you have a proper understanding of what is actually happening in the technical side of the markets. So that's it for today for the tweezer top. Then wanna go to our next segment, where we're now talking of the news, the things that are actually happening in the whole world. On this segment that we're about to dive into now, we always talk about the economies of the countries. So today we want to talk about the economy of Egypt. So the country's economy is second largest in Africa after Nigeria in terms of the GDP, that's gross domestic products, and 33rd in worldwide ranking. So the president of Egypt is called Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. So people like to call this guy el-Sisi. So the president came to power through a coup. Yeah, it's one of those presidents who came into power after they said they didn't want the previous president. So now they want to remove this president via the military, those military strategies that people use. It's the same concept that happened in Zimbabwe. It's the same concept that happened in Egypt. So what you have to know about Egypt is that Egypt produces 1/3 of food it consumes and frequently imports more than any country. Like what I'm talking about, I'm saying is frequently it frequently imports that's what we call wheat. Egypt's staple food, it's wheat related, so they import wheat more than any country in the world. So what you have to know is that it is projected that Egypt's economy will grow by 4.8% this year of 2023. The country uses Egyptian pound as their currency, and the important base of the economic growth is because they are saying it's projected that the economy will grow by 4.8%. So the things that they manufacture in their country, mostly it's crude oil. They have crude oil, so which makes it easy for them to have petroleum products. They have cotton, they have textile, they have metal products, they have chemical, they have agricultural goods. And Egypt has people love those beddings of Egypt, which are called the Egyptian cotton. They deal with they have a very good cotton in Egypt. So yeah, it's one of those countries that deals mostly with agriculture. So I think that's why it's expected for the economy to grow, because obvious oil is on demand. After these Russian things that happen, a lot of countries will decide to shift from Russia. They can even also go to Egypt and take oil from them. So inflation is up by 8.5%. Inflation is up by 8.5%. Just like in every countries in the world, there is inflation that is happening because of the projected recession that will happen this year. So there is high inflation in every country, but Egypt is one of those stable economies. It's not stable, but it's a good economy for Africa. So that's why it's the biggest, like Nigeria. So just like the president is that president who understands things according to is a military president, so they like fighting. So Egypt is one of those countries that invest a lot in defense. more than anything, because the president came through coup. So he still has that mindset of saying, let us invest more in defense. So what you have to know is that, again, cash is expected to grow value by 6% in this 2023 in Egypt. And US dollar is one of those, people love to trade using the US dollar. So US dollar is equivalent. So when you are doing the exchange, the foreign exchange, one US dollar is equivalent to 29.88 Egyptian pound at the present moment. And the elections are going to be held next year in 2024, because there is this there to amend like how many times a president has to sit in that country. So they came up with the solution of saying they to extend actually from 4 years to 6 years. So now the current president entered in 2018, so he will stay there until 2024. Yeah, so that's it about the economy of Egypt. So we'll dive deeper as we go into other countries. We'll come back even to this to the economy of Egypt, so that we talk more about the big companies in those countries and ways of investing in those in that country. So on the other news today, Microsoft announced that it's investing 10 billion on OpenAI. That means that's artificial intelligence. So one of the game changers that is actually happening at the moment, there is something big that Microsoft wants to do. So they've discovered that there is this thing called artificial intelligence, and it's getting big in the United States. So I think as Africans, it's one of those things also that we need to tap into early. We need to understand artificial intelligence early, because it's the big deal at the present moment in Europe. So imagine if Microsoft are deciding, these guys, they are deciding to say, we wanna invest 10 billion, which is not something to joke about. This is the future. So this is the future of technology, where everything will be AI orchestrated. So what you have to know about AI deals with data a lot. So because people who are behind AI is these guys like Mark Zuckerberg, even Elon Musk. Elon Musk is also very big in terms of AI. So there's something that is huge now at the present moment in terms of data. That's why you need to add up the dots. When Elon Musk had to buy Twitter, it's one of those things where these guys, they want to understand how a human being thinks. So, but they will have to collect that data and put it somewhere and to install it into a certain software so that it becomes AI. So that data is downloaded into some software which looks when you are, like, for example, what I have to give you an example is that there are these games that happen on Facebook, where you play a game, they say project yourself how you're going to be looking in the next coming 60 years, where they put your face and they put your face after 60 years, where you'll be an old man. So where do those ideas come out about? It's AI. That's what we call artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is beyond those things. So when you play games on Facebook, on Twitter, when they ask you questions and you answer those things that are related with such things, it's the data that they collect so that they put it on a certain software. Then the certain software will project what is going to happen. So whatever you say on Instagram, whether it's Instagram, it's Twitter, that's the thing that those guys, they want. They want that thing so that they can use it to project. So a lot of things are going to happen because of this thing of artificial intelligence. So they are calling it, it's called ChatGPT, and it can what they've understood, what is actually happening. This is what is actually happening in America about this thing called ChatGPT. People, that thing, the way it has been stored information, it can pass when you want to go and do license, like a driver's license, that thing can pass that test, because it has been put a lot of brains of a human being to the point now that it can even pass a license exam, and it can even solve complex analysis, because it's like a human being. This artificial intelligence, it's like they wanna give it all the ideas that a human being can have and put it in one place so that it thinks like a human being. So a lot of jobs people are going to lose a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs are going to be used, because those robots, they will be thinking like a human being, they will be acting like a human being. Already in America, there are shops like Amazon. There is no, you won't find a cashier, or you won't find some people working inside the shop. When you enter into an Amazon shop, you just produce your phone and you scan your phone. So if you don't have the Amazon app, your phone can, the scan can detect that this one is not registered on Amazon, so the doors won't open for you inside that shop. But if they discover the phone, if you scan and they discover that your phone is registered inside, then you can enter inside that shop. Then you just pick anything that you want. You don't go to a till and you don't scan for your products. No, because what happens is that it's the same thing as artificial intelligence that is around those shops. It can tell that, oh, this person picked this and got this and got this. So you just take anything that you want and you get out of the shop. But it gets deducted on your Amazon app, because it will be seeing what you took and it will be knowing what you took. So that's what is happening with this thing called artificial intelligence. It's going to be very big. It's going to take over the world, and a lot of billions are projected to come out of these ideas. So as a black person, as an African person, let's dive into these things as they are starting, so that we may not fall back in terms of understanding this technological world we are going to. Another thing that you have to know is that Facebook is very big in terms of there is this one which is called the the visual reality world, where those guys, you wear those glasses and you go into that visual reality world. Facebook is very big, but Apple also has decided and said, I want to enter inside that market, because that market has billions, it has money. They've seen that is also one of the future that we are going to in life. So the Meta platforms, because Mark Zuckerberg changed everything to become Meta, so that you may do the VR, the visual reality thing. So Apple is also entering. They say they want to also do the visual reality things. So those are the future of the technology of where we are going. So in the next coming 5 years to 10 years, those are the things that will be common in our lives. So, and then on the other thing that you have to know is that TikTok says employees have the ability to decide what goes viral. So TikTok have given employees a certain power, so that they may be the one who decide what goes viral. But my thought has been, why didn't they even give like TikTokers to also vote for such things and say this is what we need? So TikTokers are also important, regardless of them paying them and giving them everything. They also have to have that idea of saying, no, this is what is actually going on, this is what we want us to be viral. So yeah, it's one of those things that are actually happening. So yeah, then what you have to know about, like I talked on the previous episode, there are three important things that people trade inside the market. That is the Nasdaq, that is the Dow Jones, and that is the S&P 500. But a lot of people in Africa, they like to trade gold because gold is common in Africa. It's one of the common metals in every country. Almost every country in Africa has gold, so people like to hold gold. So we have to be tracing where Nasdaq is at the moment, because on Friday Nasdaq opened at around 12,001 and it had to close at around 12,168. So it's one of those volatile indices where it can go more than 168 points in a day. So it's very volatile. That's why people like to trade it. So gold opened up at 1926, opened up in 1928, but at 1928.99, sorry, then it had to close at 1926.74. Then the Dow Jones opened at 33,928, then it had to close at 33,963.8. So there was no big movement in terms of the Dow Jones on that day. It was just volatile. So then the S&P 500 opened at 40,520, then it closed at 40,000. At 4,000, sorry, it's 4,006.52 when it was opening. Then it closed at 4,069.1 when it closed. So it's very important for us to trace the Dow Jones, to trace the gold, to trace, because what you have to understand is that the Nasdaq, it gained. The gold, it had to fall down. The Dow Jones, it had to gain, and the S&P 500, it had to gain also. So they are very important. People like trading these ones, so they are very important. Then when you go to South Africa, is that South African governor Leseho Kganyago and his team in the Reserve Bank, they had to increase the interest rate by 7.25%, which was from 7%. So they had to increase the interest rates by 0.25 basis points. So the interest rate have moved from 7% to 7.25%. So people want to spend in South Africa, it's very expensive at the present moment. So they are not, a lot of people, they are not spending because they are afraid of the interest rates. They are being taxed a lot, so which is very bad for the GDP of the growth of the country. So that's why a lot of people are not spending a lot. But it's because of these things, of inflation, of these wars, Russian wars, and all these things, the rise of petrol and diesel and everything. Those are the simple things that are actually causing the interest rates to go high. So that's it for the news today. Now I'm going to talk with you about on this next segment, which is called understanding the dialect. So understanding the dialect, it's one of those very important as a giant person. If you want to be a giant in anything, you have to be having proper understanding of the words, of the terminology that governs that industry. So today I want to talk about the cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold. So when you open a balance sheet, anyone who reads a balance sheet, you will come to the term of understanding something called the cost of goods sold. This is the definition of the cost of goods sold: is the total amount your business paid as a cost directly related to the sales of products. It's the total amount your business paid as a cost directly related to the sales of the product. So this is what I actually mean. This may include product purchased for resale, raw materials, packaging, and direct labor related to producing or selling the product. So it's the cost of goods sold. So what I'm actually mean is that, okay, so let's say you want to buy you want to make this watch, right? So what you have to know is that when you are making this watch, there is this belt, there is these things that are inside, there are these buttons that you have to go and buy. So you need to know the price of the belt, you need to know the price of everything before you make you sell this watch. So the cost of goods sold is these materials that you bought before you came out with the actual price of how much will be the worth of those things. So that's on simple terms, that's what we call the cost of goods sold. So it's very important to have an understanding of these things, because it makes everyone to understand the terminology of the markets. So now I want to continue and talk about this important segment again, which is called the quote of the day. This is the quote of the day. So as a giant, you need to be motivated. For people to be driven to do anything that they love, they need motivation. So one of the motivations that I want to talk about today is that the person who writes for fools is always sure of a large audience. So this is Arthur Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer is the guy who talked about this quote. He said, a person who writes for fools is always sure of a larger audience. So what you have to know is that if you want audience, if you want big audience in anything, work with fools. That's what this guy was actually telling us. Work with fools. There are a lot of people who are fools, but as long as you are here, it's simply meaning that you are not a fool, because you are trying to remove yourself from the majority of fools and going into the wise. But it's not easy, because the number of fools is too much. That's why he said, whatever you are doing, as long as you are doing it for the fools, the audience is always there. So it's a lot of people are fools, and we can't run away from that, because that's the reality that is actually happening. Based on, look at the amount of following that we get from people are doing nonsense thing. When people are doing nonsense thing, there's serious following. But people are doing the right things. It takes time for the following to build, because of the length and the number of fools that are around. So I love this quote for today. So anyone who wants to liberate himself, he has to remove himself from the number. You need to actually evaluate yourself and say, am I part of the fools or I'm part of the wise? But how do you know? You need to evaluate yourself and have it understand. You will know that, okay, but I have this knowledge, so this knowledge is separating me from the fools to the wise. So yeah, thank you for this segment, thank you for this episode. We are going stronger, we're going to conquer everyone, we're going to change people's mind until every community understand that we've built a strong community to change lives. So enjoy your day and take care. Ciao ciao, bye.